did the men's and women's soccer teams handle Big East play?
Meanwhile, basketball season is creeping up on us.
Thank you for joining us. Golden Eagle Sports Report starts right now.
Live from the Jeannie Hayes Virtual Studio at Marquette University, this is Golden Eagle Sports Report.
Marquette gets the rebound, and the champions have gone down!
Good evening, everyone. I'm Gabriel Cicerica, joined by London Davis.
The women's volleyball team gears up against Butler in a face-off to stay undefeated in Big East home matches.
And London, it did not take long for the Golden Eagles to fly as they got off to a hot start with 3 straight points.
Butler responded with a few timely points of their own. However, the Golden Eagles capped out on a 3-0 run, forcing a Bulldog timeout.
Now the Golden Eagles would go on to win the set 25-18.
Marquette kept up the pace heading into the second set, going on a 6-0 run on the Bulldogs. Following the run, Marquette would continue the marathon on another 4-0 run led by Natalie Ring.
And it wouldn't stop there because Marquette would go on another 6-0 run to cap off the set 25-11.
Coming into the third, Butler attempts to put their head back in the game and bring some hope for their team.
And point after point, it seems that the Bulldogs are inching into the game, being led by Abby Mash, who ended the game with 14 kills.
However, it wouldn't be enough for the Golden Eagles as they would soar off with 5 straight points, making the game 22-16.
And with at least 7 players on the team having at least 7 kills, including Natalie Ring's 13.
The win looked inevitable as Marquette would end the frame 25-20, remaining undefeated at home.
And moving on to soccer, the women's soccer team suits up against the DePaul Blue Demons, looking to bring home the victory. Senior forward Tess O'Connell puts the first points on the board in the 55th minute, marking her 5th of the school year.
The game stagnates with tough defensive efforts from both teams until a minor mistake on the Golden Eagles' end.
And Marquette would turn the ball over, leading to a Briley Hill goal in the 73rd minute. Shot after shot, the Golden Eagles weren't able to find the bottom of the net, outshooting DePaul 7-4 and earning 5 corner kicks. After
Consecutive missed marks, the game results in a 1-1 draw. This draw marks the first time since 2019 that Marquette has not defeated DePaul.
Meanwhile, right now, the battle for the 4-1-4 is happening in Valley Fields as the men's soccer team hosts UW-Milwaukee. The score is 0-0 with 43 minutes remaining in the first half.
Coming up, how did the blue and gold scrimmages go? Plus, the women's soccer team takes on the Blue Demons, so don't go anywhere as we'll be right back after the break.
Have you ever seen somebody treated unfairly because of the color of their skin?
Do you guys know what it means to have white privilege?
What is racism and what do you think about it?
Talk to young children about what racism is, giving them the language to understand it. They can be disruptors. They can shape and shift culture.
We may not always know the answer, but we'll try and help you learn.
You don't have to have all the answers, but that doesn't mean we can't start.
There are a lot of ways to reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
We good?
No problem.
What are you looking for?
And welcome back to Golden Eagle Sports Report. Once again, I'm Gabriel Cicerica.
And I'm London Davis. On Friday, the men's soccer team suffered a road loss to Seton Hall in a 1-0 final. It was a defensive showdown in South Orange as both teams had only 3 shots on goal and the game lone was scored by Seton Hall's Jared Smith in the 34th minute. The Golden Eagles struggled with penalties versus the 15th-ranked Seton Hall Pirates as their 3 yellow cards outnumbered Seton Hall's 1.
And now, London, you know basketball season is right around the corner when the annual blue and gold scrimmage tips off.
First-year forward Joshua Clark wins the tip-off for the Gold team.
But the blue team strikes first as Stevie Mitchell finds a cutting Zayd Lowry for the easy layup.
Senior guard Cam Jones responds going through 3 defenders taking the ball coast to coast.
But London Jones isn't done quite yet as he finds Jack Anderson on the boundary, who pump fakes and drills the three-pointer in.
With time running out, the blue team looks to who else but David Joplin to sink in the buzzer beater.
And at the half, the blue team leads 26-17 over the gold team.
Chase Ross takes off and delivers the hammer.
Meanwhile, first-year forward Royce Parham forces his way through the paint and gets the and-one call.
And the Gold team won't stop pulling the punches as Cam finds Clark for the alley-oop.
The Cam to Clark connection is real as the duo connects again and again, giving the gold team the edge.
The Gold team managed to complete the comeback and take down the blue team in this thriller.
Leading all scorers was senior forward David Joplin, who dropped 20 points for the blue team.
For the Gold team, first-year forward Joshua Clark led the pack with 17 points.
And the other half of the duo, Cam Jones, racked in 15 points and 11 assists in the win. Now after the scrimmage, head coach Shaka Smart talks about the season he expects senior forward David Joplin to have.
You know, we have a simple philosophy with him. You guys ever eat wings? So you're with your buddies, you're watching football, you're hanging out, you're eating wings, and you ever eat wings with that guy and he leaves like half the meat on the wing and then he goes on to the next one? All right, and then you also have that guy in your friend group that you eat wings with, and he cleans everything off that wing. I mean, even the cartilage, he's damn near eating the bone, okay? That's Jop's senior season that we need to be. We need to get every piece of meat off of that chicken wing if that's his senior year. And that's been our emphasis with him.
And the Marquette women's basketball season kicked off on Friday at the Al McGuire Center with their annual blue versus gold scrimmage.
This scrimmage was Marquette women's basketball first showing under brand new head coach Kara Consuegra.
And the Golden Eagles' new look offense looks smooth in both transition and set offenses as new transfer Jaden Mason and senior Lee Volker both excelled at the guard position.
This scrimmage looks to be the first of many successful practices as the Golden Eagles have multiple weeks to get increased reps in Coach Consuegra's new system.
Now their first regular season game kicks off almost a month from today as they play UCF in Orlando to begin the season on November 7th.
Head coach Kara Consuegra tells us about the culture she plans to instill in her first year as head coach.
Because I think in year one, wins are really important, but the foundation of what we're doing is the most important thing. And so much of what we're doing is how we can build this program the way that I see it. Our mantra is to play with heart, and they're very specific core values that we want our kids to play by, live by. But again, the biggest thing for us is building a program where we have kids that play for and with each other, that play hard for each other, that share the ball, that celebrate, and it's fun to watch.
And coming up this week in Marquette Athletics.
Marquette Volleyball heads to New York to face off against St. John's this Friday for Big East Conference play.
Meanwhile, this Saturday, Marquette men's soccer faces Providence at Valley Fields for a 1 p.m. start.
Women's volleyball continues their Big East road trip this Sunday with a noon matchup at Villanova.
And finally, women's soccer will host UConn at Valley Fields this Sunday with a 1 p.m. start as well. Now, coming up in professional sports, did the Jets fire their head coach too soon?
Plus, how will the rest of the MLB playoffs play out? Find out after the break.
to Sofia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
And welcome back to Studio 7 as we discuss the latest news in professional and collegiate sports. Joining me on the panel tonight is Gabriel Cicerica. Let's get started. This morning, the New York Jets fired their head coach Robert Saleh after the team's disappointing 2-3 start. Aaron Rodgers and the offense have been struggling, but the defense is still legit. Was this an overreaction by the Jets front office, or is this what the organization needs? We'll start with you.
Man, the Jets gave us a lot to talk about. I think just right off the bat, the Jets are 2-3, and they're still in the division with the Bills being 3-2 at the top of their division, but their offense looks abysmal, like absolutely terrible. And after last season when Aaron Rodgers got hurt, the excuse was, well, without Rodgers, their offense was never going to be so good, and they could rely on their defense. Now, with Rodgers at the helm, they've been equally as bad, if not worse, than what they were last season. So I would say that this fire is justified if they also fired offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett. But because the Jets didn't do that and they kept their offensive coordinator with really the main issue being their offense, it just doesn't seem justified to fire Saleh.
I agree with you 100%. I feel that this firing was just a real head scratcher if we really think about it. Yes, the Jets are 2-3, but like you said, they're still in contention in the AFC East. Let's think about the offense. Aaron Rodgers, can we be honest, it's not looking good for him. The injury has completely messed with him, and it's shown in how he's played as well. I feel like, Hackett could go as well, but honestly, it's a real head scratcher, and it's only week 5. Let's say it was like week 10 or week 12. Yes, it could have been a justifiable decision. Let's say the Jets were like 2-10. Or, they're two. Like, let's say they're 2-10, for example. Like, yes, that would be justified. However, it's way too early to see. It's, kind of a knee-jerk reaction, so to speak. Absolutely.
And, Jets fans, I mean, I understand them being impatient. The Jets have not made the playoffs since 2010, right? 14 years. You're expecting this to be the season. The team's supposed to come together, and it just haven't. So, for the front office, getting rid of their head coach, they figured we got to do something now. But getting rid of the main guy in New York, it just doesn't seem like the right decision when in reality, you have the rest of the season and they're 1 game behind, or I guess 1.5 games behind the Bills for the division. They still have a perfectly fine chance of making the playoffs, so it does seem a little bit unfair.
Yeah. Another thing I'd like to mention is it's just, like how you said it's unfair, but now you have to think about who will replace him, thinking about the offseason and beyond. Who will willingly come to the Jets after seeing that, the coach is having one bad 5-week stretch and you're gone? That is completely, something that coaches now have to think about when coming to New York, because who would want to be losing their job 5 weeks into the regular season when it's not their fault, so to speak? It's just, a lackluster performance on offense or lackluster performance on defense. I'm not just saying for the Jets. I'm just saying in general. Who would willingly want to go to a team and who would willingly want to go to a team that's like making these questionable calls up front?
Absolutely. Well, from the AFC East to the AFC West, star receiver Davante Adams has requested a trade from the Raiders. The team is looking for a second-round pick plus additional compensation. What team should jump in and trade for Adams?
I'm going to say Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, I feel like that could be, they could have room for improvement in the wide receiver section of the offense. We saw how they performed against Dallas this past Sunday night. Yeah, weather could have been a factor because of that 2.5-hour delay, but it's just like they need more targets, they need more production, and I feel like Mike Tomlin's team could definitely see a much better, production have Adams come to the AFC North. It would make them much more competitive with Cincinnati and Baltimore as well if they get a target like that on offense as well.
No, I totally agree with Pittsburgh because the way that they play defense, they have a bunch of dogs on the field just running around causing absolute, chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And then their offense comes and they give the ball over right away. So for the Steelers to get Adams would be huge. I think some of the other teams that we looked at, right, we saw Davante Adams post on his Instagram story something about the Raven, which was composed by Edgar Allan Poe, which is hilarious. People thought he was going to go to Baltimore. We'll see if that happens. But honestly, for the Ravens, it would be a good shout. Zay Flowers has been pretty good, but they don't really have like that key number one guy in Baltimore. Also, Kansas City, Rashee Rice is down. He'll be out for the rest of the season. They're relying on Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Travis Kelce to run that offense. I think Adams would be a good fit there. And the other two teams that are really kind of in contention for Adams are the Jets and the Saints, who both have had a lot of history with Adams. The Jets, Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams made a career playing under Rodgers in Green Bay for almost a decade. He was the guy there. He was one of the best receivers in football, but I just don't see it happening with the Jets. You already have Garrett Wilson, who is the clear number one there, and then you have Allen Lazard as well. Their offense, I think, would be just fine without Adams. I don't think Adams is the guy. But the Saints is interesting. The New Orleans Saints, right? Derek Carr, their quarterback, played with Adams in college. They have this connection. And then Adams didn't seem to love that connection when they were together with the Raiders. So for them to say, Adams is going to go to the Saints, I don't see it happening. I think the Steelers would probably be the best option, or the Ravens and the Chiefs. But for Adams to go to the Saints after saying he didn't really want to play for Carr anymore would be crazy for the NFL landscape.
I agree. Like, New Orleans seems like quite, the team, though, yeah, like how you said, he doesn't want to play with Carr anymore, but, that would be shocking. It would, it would change the landscape of the NFC South as well. Let's think about the South as well. The Atlanta Falcons have a division lead. That is, but that's, really an interesting thing how, 5 weeks in, the NFC South has become one of the most, challenging divisions to play. Not challenging. What's the word I'm looking for? Most whatever. Anyway, it's they're equally matched except for Carolina. Panthers have had their struggles, but coming to New Orleans, that could bring it'd be a game changer for the Saints. But I don't think it will happen because with the situation with Derek Carr and how it didn't work out in Las Vegas. I'm still going with Pittsburgh because let's think about it. You have George Pickens, and then I can't even name. I hate to admit it. I can't name another target on that offense. So I feel like this would be some life back to the Steelers. But then again, you bring up an interesting point about New Orleans as well.
Well, thank you for the great discussion. We are out of time. Make sure you tune in next week for all of our coverage on Marquette Sports and more. I'm London Davis. Good night, Marquette.